On the night of 13 August 1944, a three-man team of highly trained Allied commandos known as the Jedburghs parachuted into the French countryside southeast of Paris. The group, codenamed Team Bruce, soon realized that they had been dropped far from where the resistance had been waiting for them, but getting a bearing on their position proved difficult. Heavy thunderstorms set in shortly after they landed, and the fields were a muddy morass. It was so impenetrably dark that the men tied their pistol lanyards together so they would not lose track of each other and become separated. After hours of slogging along a compass course and not making much headway, a lightning flash revealed a lone farmhouse. They took a chance by knocking on the door, and it paid off. They'd stumbled into a radio post for the French resistance. London was notified of their position, and the next day they were driven the remaining 15 miles to their intended drop zone. The team linked up with the resistance and began to channel weapons and ammunition to their networks by arranging airdrops. They'd known when to expect them by listening for the coded messages followed the victory theme from Beethoven's Fifth Symphony, which played on the nightly BBC News broadcast to France. With arms pouring in, the Allies advancing from their Normandy beachheads, the uprising that Team Bruce sought to kindle was well underway. The Jedburgh slogan, "Surprise, Kill, Vanish," was put into action as their team and their French partners ambushed patrols, attacked convoys, and blew up supply depots, and then vanished. As General Patton's Third Army quickly advanced just northward towards Germany, Team Bruce recognized that his right flank was open to counterattacks. The Jedburghs took on the job of protecting it by directing resistance forces to occupy towns along its path, blowing up bridges and doubling harassment of German units in the area. By the second week of September 1944, Team Bruce's section of France was completely liberated. They went to Paris for a gathering of the surviving Jedburghs, and the team's American officer met up with an old college friend who had also signed up with OSS. His friend had liberated the black Cadillac owned by the head of the Vichy. Team Bruce's American officer was Captain William Colby of the Office of Strategic Services, who would of course become the director of the CIA. Despite his successful mission in France, the war was far from over for Captain Colby. He would go on to volunteer for a treacherous assignment in Nazi-occupied Norway, one that nearly got him killed just as the war in Europe was ending. It's an honor to be here. It should be no surprise that three parts of our government find their roots in the OSS. State Department's INR, our dear colleagues in the Department of Defense Special Operations, and of course the agency which I am privileged to run. As we celebrate the 75th anniversary of the OSS, we not only commemorate the founding of America's first intelligence agency, we pay tribute to the exceptionally talented, courageous, and resourceful group of Americans who rose to the challenge of this greatest conflict in history. OSS officers like William Colby took on the toughest, most dangerous assignments and carried them out with a rarefied level of excellence, valor, and skill. And just as we at the CIA and our brothers and sisters in the Special Operations community have inherited this mission, we pay tribute to it today. You know, OSS took on the traits of its founder, the soldier, statesman, and Medal of Honor recipient General William Wild Bill Donovan. Fearless, smart, creative, determined, and decisive, General Donovan knew exactly what he wanted in every OSS recruit. As he once said, quote, "This is no place for a guy bound by the law of averages." The general cast his net far and wide across the great American talent pool. In the words of his biographer, the OS recruited safecrackers, college boys, steel mill workers, economists, the heirs of old-line American families, and recent immigrants from Europe. As General Donovan said, "Every man or woman who can hurt the Hun is okay with me." There were great men and women. Officers like Frederick Mayer, a German Jew who fled the United States before the war and was recruited as a special intelligence branch spy. Masquerading as a German officer in Austria, he obtained construction details of the command bunkers beneath Berlin and provided targeting information on military supplies flowing through the Brenner Pass. Later, caught by the Gestapo and tortured, he never talked. He was awarded the Legion of Merit by Allen Dulles. Frederick was well known by many of you here today. He passed away last year at age 94. His motto reflects the essence of the OSS and what I hope we still do at the CIA. If you don't take risks, you don't win. And then there's Dr. Archie Chung-Ming, a medical doctor, a demolition specialist, who, when asked if he wanted to join the legendary Detachment 101 in Burma, answered, "Heavens no. What happened to the other 100 detachments?" He did go to Burma, of course, and contributed mightily to OSS operations there, which inflicted heavy losses on Japanese forces all throughout the region. Dr. Ralph Bunche, a brilliant African-American diplomat, civil rights leader, and Nobel Prize winner, who served as the top Africa specialist in OSS. He foresaw the end of colonial power on the continent and the wave of nationalism that would dominate African politics for decades. And Virginia Hall, a former State Department officer. Despite losing a leg in a hunting accident, she volunteered for wartime service with the British Special Operations Executive and then with the OSS. Operating deep behind enemy lines in France, Virginia was the only female to receive the Distinguished Service Cross during the war, and she would go on to become one of the first women to serve as an operations officer at the CIA. The stunning achievements of the men and women of the OSS, from the mountains of Norway to the jungles of Burma, set the standards for RC officers who are taking on national security challenges in the 21st century, and who are, I can report after 5 months, writing some history of their own on counterterrorism battlefields of the Middle East and South Asia and all across the world. The CIA and Special Ops officers of today confront a very different world than that of our OSS predecessors. But Pearl Harbor and 9/11 made kindred spirits of us all. The patriots of 1941 and 2001 were summoned by the same clarion call and responded with the same gallantry, resolve, and sacrifice. Only 15 days after the September 11th attacks, CIA teams were the first Americans on Afghan soil. Like the Jedburghs before them, they made common cause with local forces and took the fight directly to our enemy. The targets have changed over the years, but the expeditionary campaign continues wherever our mission leads us, and General Donovan's playbook and spirit remains very much in effect. We aggressively steal our adversaries' secrets. We rely on our agility and light footprint to operate in hard and dangerous places, regardless of whether a station or a base is present. We apply the most advanced technology to our mission, and we rigorously produce the most accurate, timely, and insightful intelligence for our president. Last month, we added 8 stars to our memorial wall, which stands in headquarters lobby directly across from the statue of General Donovan. There are now 125 stars under his watch, representing CIA officers who lost their line in the life of duty. Having served in 2 world wars and having lost so many close friends in both conflicts, General Donovan saw more than his share of tragedy in his lifetime. In drawing up plans for a CIA, he envisioned a service that would help prevent another world war and that would contribute directly to the service of our citizens. At CIA, we are all under General Donovan's watch. We seek to do justice to his vision every day. We will always endeavor to live up to the magnificent example he set and to be worthy successors to the men and women of the OSS that he so ably led. Thank you all very much. Godspeed.